Hey YouTube, welcome to part 8 of my front end loader build. As expected, I'm still working on the arms in this video, and unexpectedly I'm still failing to fulfill my estimate of the completion of them. I didn't manage to get them completed in this video, so we will run into the next video a little bit in order to finish them, but hopefully not by too much. Enough talk, let's have a look at the video. I've got him all in position, got my welding gear ready, and I am good to go. He's held as flat as my half-built fixturing table can hold him. Now it's a matter of getting some welds on him. Tacking this to the 10mm longerons first. Now these welds now become about pulling this back into shape and helping to hold it here, so it's not just for setting up the spacing anymore, it's about making sure we don't get the warpage that we had a minute ago, or get rid of the warpage that we had. Now I'll put a weld along around the bottom of the bushes, at least where I can reach it. Chip the flux off that and go around the other side. I can get to this other part anytime, but I needed to do that back piece before I put the caps on. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to get into him. I'll do this one as well. Same story. Now, while I've got this, I just see if it's possible, if I'm at my skill level, to get a tack up in under there. Yeah, even getting there without touching anything is going to be awkward. Alright, I'll see what I can do about fitting the caps, and I'll come back on camera to show you how that's going to happen. I've put the top cap on this front section first. The plan is, once I get it solidly tacked on there, I'll start to bend it around here, much the same manner that I used for the longerons. I've used scrap pieces of 3mm, well not scrap pieces actually, these are the formers for the other side, and I've used them to make sure that I got the 3mm gap underneath. That's about as good as I can get it, I think. And what I'm going to do now is run some tacks along this top edge here. Unfortunately there's no way I can actually do the bottom edge, except for maybe 1 or 2 tacks up from the underneath section. I can't actually weld it until I turn it over. I'm going to run some tacks on this top edge first, and then I think I'll pull this around, get it all the way in there, tacked all along the top, and then I guess I will have to have a look at how I'm going to do the other side, which is going to be a little bit more difficult. I'll get my welding gear on and get to work. For this job I'm using 3.2mm, that's about 1/8 inch 70/18 rods, and I'm just doing the tacks. That's a bit hot. Try again. I brought it down to about 115 amps. Yes, I was thinking it's a bit of a hard start, and I was thinking it's might be a bit low on amperage, but just looking at the weld that comes out of it, I just don't think I'll be wanting to put it up much more. See how we go. And we're looking for penetration into the longeron along these welds, so you need to make sure you get a good, good penetration on it, I guess, is the word. Now it's time to pull him around a little bit. I'll just go off camera because I need to reorganise these clamps down here. I'll come back once I've got that done. I'm pulling this in around this bend here on this outside cap, and I just need to move these clamps here now, so I'll go off camera and get that done. You see what I'm doing here? I'm just using these clamps to slowly pull that around. There we go, we've got a really nice bend around there now. I just need to help it down onto the spacers. Hopefully that's going to be possible. Yes, it is. Which I can't do until I get them off the table, so I'm not going to go down and weld past that clamp until I've had the chance to trim him. I think I got that pulled in enough now. I can safely tack it without fear of having it out of position. Right, tack time. Now, same story as what we did before. 70-18 rods and decent tacks, like at least 25 mils long, 25 to 30 mils long, so inch to an inch and a quarter, inch and a half, be fine. So I wasn't going to go down there, I was going to stop at the clamp because I've got a bit of trimming to do down that end and I'll need a little bit of slack on the top cap to let me do it. Well, that's the tacking done. I know I'm no good at upside down welding, so I am thinking that my best bet would be to tack the other bottom part on and then flip him over to weld him and hope that I don't get any warpage. My upside down welding is that bad that I don't think tacks down there is going to help me a lot. So that's what I'll do. I'll just turn the camera off a minute while I figure out how I'm going to attack this bottom cap. Alright, put the camera on, you can see how I'm going to attempt to do this anyway. I am going to try and feed this through. Oh yeah, it's going to work quite well. I need to get my spacers around here so I can make sure I get my 3mm gap underneath. Watch out for spatter on these, should upset the whole purpose of them. Now line him up here. Come that way more than that way if you've got a little bit of extra on your length, and I think I have. I'm coming 5mm extra this way. I can pull him down a little bit and weld him in neatly or trim him off or do something with him later, but at least I won't be short down this end, which is kind of important. Okay, first clamp in. He's not going to move. And I'm going to need to do a little bit of fancy work in there. Alright, I'll get my welding gear ready and get some tacks on that side. Alright, that's as far as I can go until I do something about pulling this in a bit more. And I figured out how I'm going to do that. It really was pretty obvious, there's only one way to do it. Need a scrap of round stock, about the height of the job, and that will give us a bearing surface because the flat of this clamp here is too wide to pull it in properly. It's leaving sort of kinking in it. So if I use that round block and manage not to have the clamp roll off of him, which is going to be easier said than done, I can use this other clamp to stop him rolling. Alright, well that was a bit of a production just to get that pulled in, but nevertheless that's what needs to happen. Need to make sure that he doesn't move. Put a tack in just there. Now I'll have to move this along a little bit and keep going slowly until we get him pulled around properly. Now these will be small tacks. Oh, that was a little bit bigger than small, but I started back further than I thought too. It didn't go ahead any more than I wanted him to. I don't mind nearly doing. I think I can just pull him in with ordinary clamps now. Some plastic covers on these clamps, and every now and then I miss seeing one and get some heat into it and melt it, which is very annoying. Let's move that clamp a little bit. I can get one more closer to the end. Don't need to be too much closer. I got all the clamps off of it and it's pulled it back in beautifully. She's sitting down flat on the table and I got maybe 0.5 millimetre of wobble in it. So I'm pretty happy with that. For within 0.5 millimetre, that's good. That's about 32nd of an inch. Rocks and spatter and rubbish, take a bit of cleaning up. Turn the camera off while I clean the bench up and then we'll come back when I've got him turned over. Okay, I've got the cable cleaned off, I've got him turned over again, and I'll put the clamps back on just to make sure these caps are pulled in tight against the longerons. And now time to go along, put some tacks through this. Once I've got him all tacked up and cooled down, I can go along and do the finish welds. And more stitch welds and tacks, but I think she'll be good for it without warping. I've got him all tacked up. Now I've got a little bit of fixing up to do here because I forgot to trim those inside pieces back to the outside when I put them on before I started welding, and by the time I realised I had him all clamped up ready to go, so I figured that I'd catch up with them after the welding. I'll go off camera and just fix this up with the grinder, then I'll get these sides all welded up. And given the amount of welding, I might do them off camera and just show you the finished result. Well, there it is. I got both sides welded front to back. For an amateur bead, it's not too bad, I guess. Oh, that bit looks... I actually missed a bit there. That was a good spot. Yeah, okay, for an amateur bead it's not too bad, but I was too focused on the top of the bead and I've let some sag happen on the, well, what's actually the top and bottom of the arm, but down the sides of the bead as it sits, so I'm going to have to grind them off. The only thing between a bad and a good weld is a grinder and a tin of paint. Next one will be better. Learn from your mistakes, always. Who was that? Oh, actually, no, it was just the colour of it. That one's still got a little bit of flux on him. He's not actually missed at all. Well, there it is. I'm going to have to do some grinding to finish that off, but that's one arm done. So that's him there finished. Well, the basic part of the arm's finished. I've still got to put the bracket on that takes the wrist, and I've got to put the reinforcing plate to attach the hydraulics to on each side here. But the basic arm's finished. I got it all ground off. He wasn't as bad as I thought he was actually. He didn't take much grinding off at all. I'm really happy with the way that turned out. He's sitting pretty much dead level on my fixturing flash welding table. I'm going to finish building this one arm before I go on to the other arm, so I can try and keep up the videos to you guys. Otherwise I'm going to get behind because I'm finding it difficult to keep up the video schedule, given that this assembly is just a little bit more difficult than anything else I've done so far. I've got 4 blanks each for part 029 and part 032 here. Making 4 of them together, I've tack welded them at the corners where the tacks will get cut off in the natural course of events. This is the right width here, but it's too long this way, so I'll be cutting it off up here, but I'm going to drill it first. The extra material, that's the size I had, and it'll give me something to clamp to on the drill press. This one here, I've got the 2 holes marked down here, but it's not wide enough up here. It needs a little bit more up on this end, so when I go to put it on, I'll do what I normally do when I don't have the right size material, and I'll weld just a little piece along there just to make it wide enough. That will be fine for this job, because the main part of the strength needs to be in this section. The rest of it's more or less cosmetic, apart from giving it some weld area. So I'm going to drill them off camera. I'm going to put 2 38mm holes through there and there for welding the bushes into. You've seen enough of that. It's all done with the annular cutter. If you haven't seen it yet, have a look back in some of the older videos, and I'll be back after I've done that. Okay, I've got the holes cut in these parts now. I've got to put a radius around this side and cut this off the right spot, and a radius around there, and then shape this up. Now, I'm going to plasma cut them into shape, and to do that I'm going to have to split them in 2 pairs because my plasma cutter is not up to cutting through that thickness of metal. I'll have to do them in two pairs, and then I'll put them back together again to grind them so that they're all the same shape from that. Now, it just so happens that I had 150mm for this piece. Supposed to be 119mm from the centre of this hole to the centre of this one. From the corner of this to the centre is about 121, 122 where I've drilled it. I've just got to go slightly over the centre of this corner, and that's in a perfect position for that. This corner goes level with the bottom, and that's how I want that cut. Probably cut that in the power hacksaw. Well, this is this other piece, and from the centre of this hole to the centre of the hole at the back at the tractor end is supposed to be 7/18. Just want to get a ballpark idea of how it's going to sit. And from this other hole here to the front of the arm is got to be 7/98 at the centre of the hole, rather. Right, so that's how he's going to sit. And I could use one of these offcuts just to fill in that little bit there. I need to make some pins so I can pin all this together and get my measurements accurate. So I'll go and sort my pins out, and then we'll come back and maybe get the tractor up and start measuring it all up in place. I was making some pins for the tractor project. I needed a few more pins. I hadn't finished making them before. And that job seems to be a jinx because every time I do something breaks. Last time it was lathe and this time it's the bandsaw. It won't turn on. The last time that happened was when I bought it, and it was a reasonably easy fix, but this time the problem's different. The only thing I can think of is that since the last time I tried to cut some really hard metal and I had to turn it down into tortoise speed, and I put it back up to rabbit speed. That's the signs on the thing, tortoise and rabbit, for high and low speed. Anyway, that's the only thing I can think of that I've done different. So I'm wondering whether there's a fault in that switch, and that's what I'm about to start checking out. I've got all the power off it, got it open. I'll get the multimeter out and start probing the circuits and see if I can figure out what's going on. Yeah, one of those things. Unfortunately, it probably means I'll be put back by about a week's work on the front end loader. I may not even get a video up on the front end loader next week. I may end up putting a video up on fixing this thing instead. We'll see how we go and what happens. Yeah, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Because I need to repair the bandsaw, I can't be sure that I'll be able to do a full video of the front end loader built next week, so it might end up being a little shorter than usual. I'll certainly upload something though. If you would like to see some of my other projects, you can go to my channel or browse to my website. Don't forget to click like, comment and subscribe for more. Until next time.